For decades, the NFL draft has been painted as a coronation. The stage lights, the hugs, the jerseys held high, dreams becoming reality under the bright glare of the shield. The message was clear. You don't just join the league, you submit to it. From that moment forward, the NFL decides your narrative. They choose your image. They market your highlights. They cash in on your name. And you're expected to smile, sign the paperwork, and play your role. But in 2025, something happened that no camera crew, no commissioner, no league executive could script. A rookie quarterback, the son of one of football's loudest disruptors, walked into negotiations like he owned the building, and walked out with a clause that rewrote the rulebook. Shedeur Sanders didn't sign a standard rookie deal. He signed a deal that forced the NFL itself to share. This wasn't about a bigger signing bonus. This wasn't about a flashy endorsement. It was about power, real power, shifting from the league to a single player. A sentence buried in a contract that quietly, almost silently, shattered decades of control and sent panic through the most powerful offices in American sports. Because this wasn't just Shedeur joining the NFL. This was Shedeur telling the NFL, if you use my name, if you profit from my brand, I get paid too. And in that instant, the entire balance of football's empire tilted. Here's the simple truth. Every time the NFL makes money using Shedeur Sanders' name, image, or likeness, he gets paid. That means when a jersey with Sanders on the back sells, when a sponsor uses his face in a campaign, or when the league pushes his highlights across broadcasts and social media, a portion of that revenue flows back to him. It's not hype. It's not rumor. It's not a maybe someday clause. It's written into his rookie contract. A single sentence that doesn't just give him a paycheck, it makes him a partner in the business of football. And that's why this moment is so important. Because once fans, players, and agents see it's possible, the question isn't, is this real anymore? The question is, who's next? For decades, rookie contracts have been copy and paste. Salary, a few bonuses, some media training, and that's it. The league decides how to sell you, how to market you, and how to profit off your name. If your jersey flies off the shelves, or your highlights go viral, all that extra revenue goes straight to the NFL and the team, not to you. The prime equity clause flips that entire model upside down. Written into Shedeur Sanders' deal is a clear condition. If the NFL uses his name, image, or likeness to generate money, he gets a cut. Jerseys, sponsorships, broadcasts, appearances, social media clips, collaborations. If it carries his identity, it carries his profit. In plain English, this turns Shedeur from just another employee into a business partner. The league can no longer treat him as a product it owns. Every time they cash in on his brand, he cashes in too. And that's not just a legal footnote. It's a revolution hiding in one line of text. On paper, Shedeur Sanders' rookie contract looks normal. About $4.6 million in salary. Respectable money for a young quarterback. But that's only the surface. Before his first regular season snap, Shedeur's personal brand had already brought in $14 million through sponsorships, media deals, merch drops, and licensing tied directly to his likeness. $14 million without throwing a single professional touchdown. That's not potential, that's profit right now. And then there's the real headline, jersey sales. The hype around Sanders has already generated over $250 million in merch revenue. $250 million connected to a single rookie. Thanks to the prime equity clause, that money doesn't just disappear into NFL coffers. It becomes his income too. This isn't just a bigger payday. It's proof that the old math doesn't add up anymore. Because when a rookie can earn more from his brand power than from his contract salary, the league's control over value begins to crumble. Here's what makes the prime equity clause even more dangerous for the NFL. It isn't just backed by numbers, it's powered by a media empire Shedeur built himself. While most rookies wait for the league to package their story, Shedeur is already telling his, uncut, direct, and authentic. On YouTube, Instagram, Twitch, and through mini documentaries and vlogs, he runs his own production line. He has editors, a content team, and a strategy designed to keep fans connected to his narrative, not the league's filtered version of it. And it works. His behind-the-scenes videos look sharper than half the NFL's official productions. His posts feel personal, modern, and real. Exactly what Gen Z and Gen Alpha crave. The result? Millions of fans are following him. Not just the shield on his helmet. This isn't just Shedeur flexing solo either. It's a family-run operation. A full-scale brand machine that rivals the NFL's own. Every clip, every drop, every post reinforces one simple truth. Shedeur doesn't need the league to tell his story. He already owns the channels, the audience, and the influence. And that's the piece that terrifies executives most. Because in today's sports economy, influence equals leverage. And leverage rewrites contracts. For decades, the NFL's greatest strength wasn't just its players or its stadiums. It was control. The league controlled the brand. The league controlled the story. The league controlled the money. Players came and went, but the shield stayed eternal. The system was simple. Perform, smile, sign, repeat. But the prime equity clause cracked that foundation. For the first time, a rookie has the legal right to profit directly whenever his image generates revenue. That means the spotlight is no longer owned entirely by the league. The moment Sanders' clause was approved, the balance shifted. The NFL no longer dictates the entire game. And that's why executives are nervous. Because this isn't just one quarterback making extra money. It's a transfer of power. A player is no longer just an asset to be marketed. He's a business partner with a stake in his own value. In a league built on hierarchy, on obedience, on keeping the shield brighter than any single star, this is nothing short of rebellion. A rebellion hidden in one quiet sentence. The moment the prime equity clause leaked, the ripple was immediate. Agents started calling emergency meetings. College stars began asking new questions about their draft strategies. Veteran players, men who had spent years grinding under standard contracts, texted their reps with the same 4 words. Why don't I have this? That's the nightmare scenario for the NFL. Because once one player breaks the mold, others realize the mold was never unbreakable. The conversation shifts from, how much money can the team offer? To, what kind of partnership can the team build with me? It's not just about salary anymore. It's about infrastructure, media support, creative freedom, shared revenue. If Sanders can walk into the league as a rookie and demand a piece of the pie, what's stopping a Heisman winner, a future MVP, or even an established veteran from demanding the same? The answer is simple: nothing. And that's what terrifies the league. Because the prime equity clause isn't just a contract term. It's a blueprint, a playbook every other player can copy. And once a blueprint exists, it spreads faster than any defense can stop. For as long as the NFL has existed, the flow of power and money was crystal clear. It started at the top with the league, trickled down to the teams, and finally reached the players. The prime equity clause flips that entire pyramid upside down. Now, value begins with the player who owns his brand, which fuels his platform, which the league has to buy into, rather than control. In other words, Shedeur Sanders didn't just negotiate a contract. He created a personal economy, an engine that generates money and influence whether or not the NFL approves. And the league, once the unquestioned gatekeeper, is suddenly just another stakeholder in that ecosystem. That's the inversion. Instead of players being molded into products that feed the league's empire, the league becomes a service provider for the player's empire. Teams can't just offer money. They have to offer partnerships. The NFL can't just own the spotlight. It has to share it. For a league built on rigid hierarchy and total control, that's more than uncomfortable. It's existential. What Shedeur Sanders just pulled off in the NFL might feel shocking, but in the global sports arena, the blueprint already exists. Think about LeBron James. He doesn't just play basketball. He owns production companies, runs media brands, and tells his story on his terms. Every time he steps on the court, the NBA benefits, but so does LeBron Inc. Think about Cristiano Ronaldo. His personal social media platforms generate more engagement, more reach, and often more revenue than entire football clubs. Sponsors don't just pay to be with his team. They pay to be with him. That's exactly the model Shedeur's prime equity clause introduces into American football. For decades, the NFL kept this kind of power locked outside its gates. It controlled image rights, media access, and brand partnerships with an iron grip. But now, a rookie quarterback has planted the same seed inside the shield. The message is clear. The NFL is no longer the only stage. Players can become their own global brands, their own economies, their own media companies, And once fans start following the player more than the league, the balance of power isn't just shifting, it's already shifted. The NFL now stands at a crossroads. There are only two paths forward, neither of them comfortable. Option A, adapt. Embrace what Shedeur Sanders has started. Allow players to negotiate equity clauses. Give them autonomy over their media. Share the spotlight and reframe the league not as the owner of player brands, but as a partner. This means loosening control, letting go of decades of tradition, and admitting that the audience no longer belongs exclusively to the Shield. Option B, resist. Pretend this was a one-off. Quietly warn teams not to approve similar clauses. Tighten rookie contracts. Try to contain the damage by boxing players back into the old system. Keep the spotlight on the league and hope the storm passes. But here's the problem. Both options hurt. If the league adapts, it sacrifices the control that built its empire. If it resists, it risks looking outdated, rigid, and most dangerous of all, irrelevant to a new generation of fans who crave authenticity. The old monopoly on the player brand pipeline is already broken. The NFL may still own Sundays, but Shedeur Sanders owns something the league can't buy back: the culture, the conversation, and the future. Here's the wildest part. Shedeur Sanders didn't need a holdout, a lawsuit, or a scandal to make this happen. He didn't storm out of training camp or drag the league through messy headlines. He simply walked into negotiations, laid his terms on the table, and waited. And the league said yes, quietly, almost silently. That soft approval might have sounded like nothing in the moment, but in reality, it was the sound of a dam breaking. Because the second the ink dried, everyone else started paying attention. Agents began asking why their clients couldn't have the same protection. College stars started rethinking how they'd approach draft day. Veterans texted their reps, "How did a rookie get this? And I didn't." Shedeur had just proved that the unthinkable was actually possible. You could demand equity, and the NFL would agree. And that's why this clause is more than money. It's agency. It's the right to dictate terms instead of waiting for permission. It's the power to build a 50-year brand instead of chasing a 10-year career. That's the blueprint. And once it exists, you can't erase it. You can only watch as others start to copy it. Behind closed doors, NFL executives have already coined a phrase: containment strategy. Translation: how do we stop this from spreading? But here's the truth. They can't. You can't unteach players the value of freedom. Once an athlete realizes he can own his story, monetize his name, and cut the league in on his terms, not the other way around, there's no going back. If the NFL tries to clamp down with stricter rookie rules, players will point to Shedeur and say, "He did it, why can't I?" If the league pretends it never happened, the media will remind them. If they box players in, fans will notice, because fans can smell fear, and nothing looks weaker than a billion-dollar empire afraid of evolution. Meanwhile, Shedeur doesn't need their system to reach his audience. His content goes straight to millions of people who trust him more than the league's polished clips. His influence doesn't pass through NFL approval. It bypasses it entirely. That's why containment is impossible. The league no longer controls the pipeline of narrative, value, or influence. The players do. And once the system is exposed, it can't be hidden again. For decades, NFL teams have recruited talent with one promise: money. Salary, bonuses, incentives. Those were the carrots dangled in front of every rookie and free agent. And for decades, that was enough. Not anymore. Shedeur Sanders has shown the next generation of athletes that money is just the entry fee. What really matters is partnership. Now, when players and their agents walk into negotiations, they're not just asking, "What's the contract worth?" They're asking, "What infrastructure are you bringing to support my brand?" They want content teams, production resources, sponsorship pipelines, creative freedom, and most importantly, a share in the revenue their name generates. That means the pitch from teams has to change. It's no longer, "We'll make you a star." It's, "We'll plug into the star you've already built." This flips the recruiting script completely. Teams who can't adapt will lose talent to those who can, because the new generation of players isn't signing up to be marketed by the league. They're signing up to market themselves, with the NFL as one of their partners, not their master. And that shift changes everything. Every college athlete in America is watching this unfold like a live masterclass. The last few years already introduced NIL deals, name, image, and likeness rights for college players. For the first time, student athletes could cash in on their popularity. But NIL has been messy, inconsistent, and fragile. A quick deal here, a short-term sponsorship there. Nothing permanent, nothing truly structural. Then along comes Shedeur Sanders. He doesn't just keep his NIL leverage when he enters the NFL. He expands it. With one contract clause, he proves that autonomy doesn't have to end when you go pro. In fact, it can grow bigger. Now imagine being a 5-star recruit, scrolling through your feed and seeing Sanders pulling millions before his first pro start. You're not just dreaming of touchdowns anymore. You're dreaming of media teams, editors, sponsorship blueprints, and clauses that guarantee you get a piece of your own brand forever. And it's not just quarterbacks who benefit. Wide receivers, pass rushers, safeties, linebackers. If you have a following, if you have a voice, if you have a brand, you can ask the same question. Why should I ever sign a standard rookie deal again? That's where the ripple becomes a wave. Once athletes realize they can be players and business owners at the same time, the old model of rookie contracts collapses. The NFL isn't just dealing with one bold rookie anymore. It's staring down an entire generation that will walk through the door expecting the same. At the heart of this story lies a brutal equation. The NFL can protect control, or it can protect relevance, but it cannot protect both. For decades, control was everything. The league dictated how players looked, sounded, and sold. It owned the highlights, the merchandise, the interviews, even the narrative arcs of entire careers. That control worked as long as fans accepted it. But fans have changed. A new generation doesn't crave polished press conferences or scripted media days. They want authenticity. They want the raw clips, the behind-the-scenes moments, the unfiltered voice of the athlete. And they're finding it directly on the platforms Shedeur Sanders and others control. So here's the math. If the NFL doubles down on control, it risks looking outdated and disconnected from the audience. If it lets go, it sacrifices the hierarchy that built its empire. Either way, the monopoly is gone. The audience already voted with their attention. The numbers prove it. Sanders' brand generates more revenue than his contract. His media outpulls official NFL channels. His influence outweighs their press releases. The league still owns Sundays, but relevance lives where the people are. And right now, the people are following the player. That's the equation the NFL can't solve. And it's the one Shedeur Sanders has already mastered. The prime equity clause is only one sentence in a contract, but it carries the weight of an earthquake. It didn't just secure Shedeur Sanders a bigger paycheck. It redefined the relationship between player and league. For the first time, the NFL isn't just employing a rookie, it's partnering with him. And that single shift sends a signal far louder than any touchdown highlight or draft day celebration. The power is moving. Every prospect, every agent, every front office now knows the door is open. Bring a platform, bring a following, bring leverage, and you can bring your own terms. No more signing away your image. No more watching millions slip into someone else's pocket. The NFL can adapt or resist, but either way, the countdown has begun. Because Shedeur Sanders didn't just enter the league, he entered with a blueprint, and blueprints don't stay hidden. They spread. So the question isn't if the next player will follow this path. The question is, how many will, and how fast? This isn't just the story of a rookie's contract. It's the opening chapter of a new era. An era where the league still owns the field, but the players own themselves. And if that's true, then the NFL didn't just draft a quarterback in 2025. It drafted the beginning of its own revolution. This isn't just a contract, it's a countdown.